People who have been cheated on. How did you find out? You know how Facebook chat bubbles open up on top of whatever app you're on? He sent me a screenshot of something funny between him and his cousin. In the background was a text message about a date he was going on with this girl. Serves his dumb butt right. We were at a party together with a bunch of close friends. She said she wasn't feeling that well, and my buddy was leaving early because he had to work in the morning, so he could take her home. Fair enough. We're all friends. We help each other out. I had a weird feeling in my gut, so when I left the party, I made a quick stop at my girlfriend's place. As I entered the cul-de-sac, I saw my buddy's car parked in front of her house with lights off. So I turned my car's lights off and slowly crept over. Then I was about 20 feet away, so I zoomed over and stopped right in front of his car, and I blasted on the high beam lights as I did this. At that moment, I saw them pull away from a kiss. I pulled up to the side of his car and we both rolled down our windows and I just asked how things are going. They didn't look me in the eyes. Then I just drove home. That was it for our relationship. We were out on a date when she got a phone call. Her fiance had just been in a terrible motorcycle accident and died. We had been dating for about 8 months at that point. We never talked again. The guy she was cheating on me with told me. To be fair to him, he didn't even know we were dating at the time. But we had mutual friends that knew we were dating, and so he figured it out. Anyway, it sucked pretty bad, but he was cool about it and also felt bad. He and I actually ended up hanging out for a while and she basically got totally ostracized from our friend group. So I feel like I came out on top. Probably the best possible result given the situation though. The prostitute, literally, banged on the door. When I opened it, she zeroed in on him and threatened to sick her pimp on him for not paying her. This one is my favorite. My husband passed away suddenly. He kept all of our old phones. I wanted to look through them, his and mine, to see the texts we sent to each other and remember the great times. I found a phone number that had been calling him repeatedly in the morning on the way to work and at night on the way home. The first initial and last name were on his phone under contacts. I searched his email with that name and found out he had been having an affair. I'm still not sure for how long, somewhere between 18 months and 3 years. It's devastating. His friend was kind enough to tell me it ruined their relationship, but it was very meaningful to me. I appreciated someone doing me the kindness of letting me know. I had a similar experience. Her best friend found out she had been having an affair for a decade and told me, being cheated on really destroys your sense of self-worth, but knowing that someone else flushed a 20-year friendship down the toilet to tell you softened that blow a little bit. It really meant a lot. Showed up to the police station to bail him out. I had no idea why he'd been arrested, but assumed it was drinking and driving again. He was a wicked alcoholic, and I was naive and painfully codependent. Was signing forms to pay a bail bondsman. I was naive and didn't realize that a $50,000 bail, which ended up being about a $3,000 bond, cash, was not what one would have for a DUI. Behind me, I heard the bondsman talking to a woman. He asked her how she knew my now ex were dating. She said. I stopped filling out the form, turned around, and asked, who are you, exactly? Oh, yeah, my name. You don't know who I am? So long story short, he'd been maintaining an ongoing relationship with a woman almost 20 years older than me. The night before, she had put a restraining order on him, which he violated the next morning, hence the arrest and $50,000 bond. I hope you ended up leaving his stupid butt in that cell. Got off early from work one day, literally walked in on her fricking some other dude. I thought that kinda crap only happened in the movies, but it happened to me. Found out after we broke up. Another one of her exes struck up a conversation with me. We compared notes and realized the timelines overlapped. Had something similar happen. I was dating a guy and it wasn't serious, but I thought we were exclusive at least. We broke up and a girl posted on his Facebook a couple months later a picture of the two of them with their new baby. I guess that explains why we were always hanging out at my place and not his. Not me but my parents. Dad found out from a dirty text that his best friend of 30+ years sent to my mom. Mom was mentally abusive and convinced him not to tell me. I was in college and didn't live at home at the time. I found out a month later when wife of said best friend messaged me on Facebook and asked how I was doing with all of this. Mom left and hasn't talked to me in 6+ years. Dad got remarried. He just had his first anniversary. New wife adopted me and I have a good mom for the first time in my life. Glad you're happy, mate. The girl texted me. I had my doubts, but no evidence. Not that I needed evidence to leave, but that's another story. She texted me on IG with screenshots of him chatting with her and a very prominent pic of his dong against a very distinctive floor tile. No way to say that's not my dong. So, busted. This happened to my best friend. When the girl found out my best friend existed, she immediately told her all the sus crap her BF had been up to and called him out pretty viciously herself. They're good friends now and he lives on his boat cause he was staying in my friend's apartment rent free. First time had a feeling. Went through his phone and found posts on Craigslist, M4M as well. Another where the mistress called me bragging she was sleeping with my husband at the time. I thought your name was Bone Crusher for a second and was worried about how you handled it. Funny thing, it was this day 4 years ago that I found out my wife was having an affair with her boss. I knew something was wrong. The way she acted around me was off. I had asked her point blank if she was having an affair with X. She denied it and suggested we go to marriage counseling. I took this as I was doing something wrong and went in hoping to find the issue that could save my marriage. She lied again in the counseling. This went on for about a month and a half. I had Thursdays off of work, so I got up and worked out, did a little bit of cleaning and sat down. That moment my brain went wild with the possibility of her having an affair, so I logged into her Facebook and found the messages between her and X. I called her crying asking why. She gave me a cold I don't know to tell you and hung up. I left the house and went to the bank to get my half of the money. On the way I called an old boss and had a better job in a different city by the end of the day. I am a pretty simple person. I don't ask for much besides trust and truth in a relationship. That was broken now and I was out. I ended up remarrying a wood woman with 2 kids and couldn't be happier. The first half of that could have been me. I tormented myself for about a month before finally validating my suspicions. 11 years together. It's been 6 years now and feels like a distant memory and much better off but sucked for a while. Glad you're doing better. We broke up. I made a new friend and she asked if I had a boyfriend and I told her we had just ended the relationship. But I also told her his name, to which she replied I had a boyfriend with that name too not too long ago. It wasn't a common name in our area, so I laughed and I showed her a picture and she did the same and we stopped laughing. It was the same guy. We both dated him for like 4 months and 2 of those at the same time. Sounds like the start of a beautiful friendship. It'd been seeing this girl for 8 months, and flowers arrived from a guy called Matt on her birthday, but she managed to convince me he was just a friend. It wasn't a problem as I was finally meeting her family for the first time at her birthday meal that same day, and she dropped the L-bomb a few days before. I stayed at hers after the meal, then left for work in the morning. Later that day I sent her the usual text of when you free next, and then she decided to inform me that Matt was actually her boyfriend of 5 years, and she was moving 300 miles to the house that he had bought for them both, and I would never get to see her again. Safe to say it left me with just a few trust issues. His sister, whom I had never met, called me up to tell me no that, while he was across the country visiting them, his ex-wife had driven up there and they were back together. He promised me that wasn't the case, but the sister stealing my number from his phone and calling me sent up red flags, so I broke it off. He called me a few months later and tried to restart our romance. His sister again called to let me know he had remarried said ex-wife. He got really persistent about being into a relationship even though he knew I knew he was married. I don't know why this sister did it, but bless her. My boyfriend got in a car accident and sent me pics of the damage. I saw her in one of the pics he took through her reflection off the car. Was already kinda suspicious of her and that confirmed. He was paying his ex rent over Venmo. We were going to move to a whole bus different state together. Apparently he was thinking all three of us were going to be a happy family. Another time, a guy told me his grandpa passed so he needed to go be with his family. Posted my love my life on an eye picture with his GF of 1 year. That was not me. His grandpa was fine. ETA. His grandpa was not dead. Everything was okay. I wasn't attracted to his grandpa. Guys. What a piece of crap. I can't believe people like this exist. His brother told me. Found out the car accident he had been in a year earlier was as bad as it was because he was in the backseat getting a BJ when they got into the accident. No, he was not driving. I'm a claims adjuster and I handled a very similar claim. Guy was cheating on his wife. He was driving while his much younger girlfriend was giving him a BJ. He lost control of the vehicle and flipped it. The girl died. He was fairly seriously injured. Didn't lose his dong though. His wife had him served with divorce papers in the hospital. I had been in a long-term but long-distance relationship with a girl and I truly adored her. We saw each other as often as we could and always made the most of our time together. She traveled with her mum to visit her grandmother and staying at her grandmother's house was her male cousin who she hadn't seen since they were children. Next time she came to visit me she planned on taking a detour on her way home to stay with her grandmother and cousin for a few days. She spoke about her cousin a lot and I was genuinely pleased that she had reconnected with him. She was shy and didn't make friends easily. It had been her birthday and I'd bought her lots of nice gifts including a camera which she'd wanted for a long time. I walked her to the train station and kissed her goodbye and wished her a lovely stay with her grandmother. A couple of days passed and I didn't hear anything from her, which was unusual. I called her mobile phone a few times and sent her text messages just asking if she was okay and got no reply. On the fourth day I called her mum, who I got on with exceptionally well, to ask her if she'd heard from her daughter. She hadn't, couldn't understand why she hadn't called me, so she gave me the home phone number of the grandmother. I called and her grandmother answered. I didn't give my name but asked to speak with my girlfriend, who came straight to the phone, obviously unaware that I'd been given the number. When she heard my voice she went very quiet. I eventually got her to admit that she had feelings for someone, but I naively explained that the only person she'd been spending time with was her cousin. Then the penny dropped and I realized it was him. She eventually admitted that she had been physical with him. Strange how when I walked her to her train that day and kissed her goodbye as I had so many times before over our 4-year relationship, that it would be the last time I would ever see her. That was 20 years ago and it still hurts. I hope you called her mom back to let her know she's fricking her cousin. I had suspicions prior to me actually finding out, but it's a fun story. I worked the overnight shift at a printing store. My then girlfriend was sleeping soundly at our apartment, or so I thought. At around 3 AM, she walked in wearing an oversized hoodie and leopard print high heels. I'm a bit puzzled. She's been crying. I ask her what's going on. She says she wrecked her car and needs my keys so she can go home and sleep. I give her the keys and she leaves. I get home at around 8 AM. She's sleeping. Her purse is on the table. Her phone is there. I reach for her phone. The purse falls sideways out, spills condoms. I unlock her phone and go to her messages. There is a long text conversation between her and another man. She had been cheating for a while. I woke her up and asked that she leave that day. My dad helped me drop her crap off at her grandparents'. She was drunk driving her brand new car home from a party with her other lover when she lost control of her car in a ditch. She reported it as stolen and had a friend give her a ride to my workplace. I've had no contact with her since and I never want to see or hear from her again. My wife cheated and had a 2-year-long affair. I found out when the other man's wife texted me and told me everything. I confronted my wife and she lied through her teeth until I hit her with some facts of the matter that she couldn't deny. We were HS sweethearts that were together for 18 years and married 11 with 2 young kids, 3 and 5. The absolute worst moment of my life, and I've been in a deep depression since finding out. I'm so sorry, man. This one just cuts to the core. Got a very, very severe UTI and while I was pee blood in the air, decided to have some tests run. Came back positive for chlamydia. Case closed. Boyfriend was cheating on me. This happened to me too. And I still believed he wasn't cheating, lol. I finally accepted it when he slept with one of my co-workers, who bragged about it because she didn't like me. I caught him off guard and asked to see his Uber history, which was the nail in the coffin. Thankfully, he made out with my best friend at the time right in front of me. It was surreal. Totally unprompted as well. They just went for it out of nowhere. She had been acting a bit strange and felt like more of a roommate than significant other. I had seen her get some message and try to keep it hidden. At work the next week I guessed her IG password and found blatant message exchanges with her ex plus other men. I immediately started looking for a new place to live and was getting all my things in order when my boss let me go. I waited a few weeks to break up with her while I figured my life out. I was at peace though because I knew she was a horrible person and I also no longer had to deal with my butthole boss. Good luck to you sounds like it was for the better. I was living abroad so we were doing long distance. He visited me. Then less than a month after he went back home, an old co-worker friend told me she saw him at a bar kissing and holding hands with another girl. She confronted them and he was saying that's his best friend who is also in a relationship. That other girl ended up being my brother-in-law's friend's girlfriend. LMAO, it was so messy. My best friend accidentally let it slip in a FB message because she thought I already knew. I had my suspicions but never any proof. When I confronted my wife she tried to say the guy raped her. He didn't. And I lost my crap because that is not something you freaking lie about. When I didn't buy that lie, she just kept producing more until finally she confessed. I stayed her for another 7 years, but our relationship never recovered after that because she is a raging narcissist who can't handle making mistakes. I left her in March of 2017. Within 2 months she was shacked up with someone else and raising their kid. She hates children. Also bought herself 2 new dogs to replace the dogs we had together. Freaking sucked to just realize she never gave a crap about me or our family and doesn't want to be alone. Just found a replacement family like ASAP. I'm still single and frankly I prefer it this way, even though it still hurts. Sending hugs and vibes away. She was driving and handed me her phone so we could get directions to wherever we were going. She got a message from the dude I was worried about asking if they were still on for their date later that day. What happened next? Oh man, I have a bunch of these. My new at the time girlfriend's friend straight up just told me my girl didn't actually leave her old boyfriend. She was still with him. I was having dinner with an ex and she was telling me about her new boyfriend and that they started dating in January. She forgot we were still together in January. It was years later. I didn't really care. I had an ex drop her purse and condoms fell out. We didn't use condoms. She told me she was sleeping with others. Another ex right before going to bed grabbed her phone, texted someone, then started deleting texts. I just asked her and she said yeah. Dang, you can really pick him. We had broke up long before I actually found out. I always had my suspicions but never proof, so tried not to dwell on it and carry on as normal. Relationship fell apart and we went our separate ways around about March-April that year. Then around about August-September her friend tells my friend that she is a few months into being pregnant and it's mine. Bit of a shock to hear but also a relief that my sperm is just slow working because we hadn't slept together since the year previous. Time delay sperm. So I had a girlfriend that didn't have a phone and would contact me from other people's if she needed. One day when trying to get a hold of her I texted some of the most recent ones she contacted me from and got a reply saying bro you need to frick off. She broke up with you and is seeing someone else so leave her alone. This was far from true. We had not broken up and had plans to go on her dream vacation to Italy for her birthday the next week. I dumped her, went with my friend instead, haha. I was off work earlier than usually, and when I went into the driveway a car was parked there. Didn't think much of it, until I caught them in the act in the bed. Ex-wife cheated on me. I had my strong suspicions, which were verified a couple years later by her sister. The tipping point, after months of her going to her friend's place to take herself out of the space with her, myself and the kids when she was having anxiety, I stumbled across her co-worker's Facebook which had a picture of the two of them as a profile pic. It may not have been the first time and I think there is a good possibility that my son may not actually be mine. Our relationship was pretty fresh. Then one time we met up with a bunch of friends and I struck up a conversation with one of them. I introduced myself as her boyfriend and then he said, "Oh, so you must be Jake. My name is Anthony." I kinda hope there was more than just this though, cause I could totally see myself being the friend mixing up names or not realizing her relationship with Jake had ended and you were the new guy. He got into a motorcycle accident with her on the back. I found out the next day when I phoned for the millionth time to see why he hadn't shown up the night before. He was in hospital having emergency surgery and she had escaped injury. I know someone who had this same situation, but her husband died in the accident. So in one evening she learned that her husband was dead and that he died cheating on her. It was 20+ years ago and she is still working through the demons. Guy texted me after he found out I existed, dumped a trash butt girlfriend and got one of my now best friends out of the deal. So it worked out, I guess. She showed up at our place one day to surprise him. It's been years but I can still see the look on his face when he saw us together. My friend told me she kept seeing my husband going in and out of a house in her neighborhood and that she was suspicious. She good reason to be. After we divorced he married the woman that lived there. My wife told me she was driving to Pittsburgh from our home in Virginia to see an old mutual friend of ours. I knew she had a friend that I was suspicious about that lived a bit further north in New York, but it wasn't until I got a call from my bank asking to confirm the charges that I realized she not only went straight to New York, none of the charges on the card were for a hotel. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.